everyone. Welcome back to Presley Mania. My name is Rhonda. Thank you for tuning in to my show today. We have got some things to talk about. Number one, I'm going back to see Epic here in just a little bit. I'm so excited. It'll be round two for me. I know many of you have seen it a whole lot more than that. But anyway, I'm super excited. I cannot wait to see Elvis again on the big screen. There is just something about it that it's just exciting. It is. I can imagine back in the 50s being one of the girls who would go to the theater to see his movies just over and over and over and over. Would have been one of those. So anyway, I'm going back to Epic for the second time. But today I wanted to go over something that I'm really not sure what's happening with this. I want to talk about the court case between Graceland Holdings, Elvis Presley Enterprises against Brigitte Kruse, GWS Auctions, and also included in that suit is Sherry McDonald, who is the wife of the late Greg McDonald, and his son, Thomas McDonald, is also involved in this lawsuit. So what happened is they filed this suit against them on January 28th of 2025. It is basically, after we got the original depositions and we went over a lot of that, I don't know how much of it you guys remember because it's been quite some time since I've covered all of it. But we were going over Thomas McDonald's deposition. We went over, I think, Angie Marchesi's deposition. We talked about exactly what they were saying. Okay, so the gist of all of this is basically this. Greg McDonald, who worked with Colonel Tom Parker for years, had a lot of items that he claims were given to him by the Colonel. They were in Greg's possession, and he said they were gifted to him by the Colonel. Well, Graceland, Elvis Presley Enterprises, is claiming that all of those items that he has belong to them and were part of a deal that was made back in 1990. Let me look at the Colonel's letter. That was made back in 1990 between the Colonel and Graceland, where he was giving them everything he had in his possession. Okay, well, I think that's what comes into question, is if he had already gifted these items to Greg McDonald before he made this deal with Graceland, who do they really belong to? I mean, we all have things, right? We've got stuff, and let's say we make a deal with somebody and say, okay, you can have everything in my house. But if there are things that aren't in your house that you've already given away to someone else, who do they belong to? See? Well, there was a list that is apparently that Graceland had, and an inventory, but they never knew the things were missing until it was brought to their attention by Brigitte Kruse. Okay, well, here's the real kicker for me. What in the world is going on with this case? Because it was filed in January of 2025, and here we are well over a year after it's been originally set up in the courts, and nothing's happening with it. Nothing. I mean, I have checked it regularly, and it's just little things, like jury fees have been collected. there was, I think, a change of attorney, little things, not that that's little, but you know what I'm saying here. But they're not moving forward on the case. Doesn't that make you wonder what and why it's not moving? It certainly does me. And I wonder if, my guess is somehow this is all tied to the cases that are going on between Priscilla and Brigitte. But this is the thing that bothers me. Priscilla really isn't involved with Graceland anymore. She's still on, like a special advisor as part of the settlement she made with Riley. And there was that clause in there that Riley would help to protect her against, court cases and that kind of thing. I don't remember exactly how it was worded, but I can look it up later and let some of you know, maybe on my next show or something. But why are we not moving forward with this? Is Graceland working with Priscilla on trying to discredit Brigitte? Now, there is one thing we do know already, okay, is that Graceland is in possession of these items now. Because they were going up, a lot of them were going up for auction. So in order to prevent them from being auctioned off, I think some of them had already been sold, but the people can't get a hold of their items that they purchased. I don't know if GWS had to refund the money or whatever. I digress. But what I'm saying is that Graceland has the items that they were trying to auction off. So they're in their possession temporarily until this case is resolved. So if the case goes in favor of Brigitte, Sherry McDonald, and Tom McDonald, they have to give them up. Okay? So I think there is more to this story than we realize. That I feel like that these items, number one, weren't even known to be missing until Brigitte brought it to the attention of Angie Marchese, and then Jack Soden ended up calling Greg McDonald. I mean, it's a whole long, involved story, and we can dig deeper into it later if y'all would like. I think it would be fascinating to go more into some of this stuff. But how did they not even know it was missing? How do you not have an inventory list and go through it and check everything off and catalog it? Now, it has been said that all of the items that they received would take years and years and years to completely go through and make sure that everything had been cataloged and put into a system and that kind of thing. But it was done in 1990. So what happened is that, let me find the email that Brigitte sent to Angie originally. It was dated December of 21. Well, by then, everything should have been cataloged, right? We're looking at what? A lot of time, 20 plus years. Is my math right here? Yeah. So everything should have already been done and cataloged. They should have known that things were missing, but they didn't. That's how I'm reading it. That's how I'm seeing it. Did they not know they were missing because they weren't really theirs to begin with? And why is it that this stuff is so important to them? Yes, it was Elvis's. Yes, there were telegrams. Yes, there were items. Anything connected to him is valuable, right? But if they were gifted to someone else, It wasn't theirs to begin with. Was it on the inventory list? I want to see an inventory list of everything they have at Graceland. I would love to see that and go through the things that they're saying belong to them and see if they were ever on that original list. But I doubt that's anything I will ever be able to come across. But I want to tell you why I feel like they want this stuff. Because I think there is something in there that we don't know about that they're wanting to keep kind of hush hush. What could that be? I don't know. Your guess is as good as mine, honestly. But this is the reason I say that. Because Ad Populum, who sent a letter, Alexis Mueller, Assistant General Counsel for Ad Populum LLC. Who is Ad Populum, you ask? Well, I ask the same thing. And it is the parent company of Graceland Holdings LLC and Elvis Presley Enterprises Inc. And they sent a letter to Brigitte, GWS Auctions, actually, attention Brigitte Kruse, on December 3rd of 2024. Because they're wanting to stop an auction that was happening the very next day. And this is what the letter says. I'm going to just start. We're going to skip the first paragraph. And it says, as we're sure you know, back in 1990, EPE acquired the entire collection of all Elvis-related materials and artifacts in the possession of Colonel Tom Parker. The entire collection was defined in that transaction to include all Elvis Presley memorabilia, Elvis-related memorabilia. Memorabilia was defined to include every tangible photograph, paper writing, document, artifact, owned or worn or used by Elvis Presley, any art, souvenir, movie poster, photo negative, image, color separation, legal document, filing cabinet, furniture, desk, carton, box, each and every item of memorabilia owned by Colonel Parker pertaining in any manner whatsoever to Elvis Presley. My colleague, Angie Marchese, informed me that you called Priscilla Presley on or about December 22nd, 2021. See the difference in the dates? Informing Priscilla that you were working with a Greg McDonald who had previously worked for the Colonel. You informed Priscilla that Mr. McDonald said he had thousands of original documents that belonged to the Colonel, some of which were very sensitive, and that Mr. McDonald, he was trying to sell said documents. EPE purchased all documents in the Colonel's collection, including but not limited to the items identified in Exhibit A, attached hereto, and any other items from the Colonel's collection that Mr. McDonald removed or received from the Colonel's collection without the Colonel's knowledge or permission, collectively the offending items. It is our belief that after Mr. McDonald's passing, the offending items passed into the possession of his son, Tom McDonald. You told Angie in 2021 that you had videos of yourself going through the documents at issue with Greg McDonald. You told Angie that you knew that these documents actually belonged to EPE. The videos were dated April 21st, 2021. By the end of 2021, you had called Priscilla and Angie to tell them that Greg McDonald had these items and that EPE should retrieve them because EPE owns them. EPE's Jack Soden called Greg McDonald and asked him about the collection. Greg McDonald told Jack Soden that he only had copies of documents. After Jack Soden's call with Greg McDonald, Angie Marchese received a text from you trying to claim, after the fact, that the videos you had sent to Angie were confidential and could not be shown or used in any way. Absent a signed non-disclosure agreement, EPE has no duty of confidentiality for any videos you shared prior to any assertion of confidentiality. EP therefore reserves the right to use the videos in any legal action pertaining to the offending auction or the offending items. One thing is clear: EPE is the rightful owner of the offending items. As noted above, the offending items were taken from the colonel without his knowledge or permission. You previously stated to EPE employees that you were aware that these items belong to EPE. The offending auction, therefore, would constitute the sale of stolen goods, exposing you to criminal and civil liability. As you are clearly on notice of EPE's ownership of the offending items, and in light of the foregoing by this letter, EPE hereby requests that you immediately 1. Remove all reference to any and all offending items from the offending auction and any promotion or advertising in connection therewith. 2. Provide the person in possession of the offending items with notice of EPE's claim of ownership so that EPE may cause their immediate return. And 3. Provide EPE with complete documentation setting forth any and all other items purported to have been owned by the colonel which your company has been asked to sell at auction. As I'm sure you will understand, EPE must treat this as a serious matter to ensure the integrity of its collection and to protect EPE's rights in and to its property. In order to avoid further action, please confirm that you agree to immediately comply with all the stated demands. Please provide any written reply to this letter by contacting Angie Marchese no later than end of business December 5th, 2024. Otherwise, we will have no choice but to take appropriate action, including but not limited to seeking judicial intervention of the courts and contacting law enforcement. I'm going to stop right there. Long story short, Brigitte responded, said it's the day before the auction. Her people responded to this and said it's the day before the auction. I can't stop it. So what they do? The auction went ahead. The items that were sold, they weren't able to give to the people, just like I said before. And now the judge ruled that EPE would hold them until the case had been settled. Okay. That was 2024. And the case was filed January 28th, 2025. Not that much time went by before they filed. But here's the thing. Brigitte assumed, this is my take on it, Brigitte assumed that these items belonged to EPE because she was aware of the deal that had been made in 1990. But Greg McDonald, Tom McDonald, Sherry McDonald claim that these were gifted to them long before 1990. Without seeing a list of all the items that they got from the colonel, comparing that against the list of what Greg McDonald had in his possession and Thomas McDonald now has, how do we know? And how was Graceland not aware that they didn't even have these items until they were notified by Brigitte? Now, I think there is some language here that they're saying she knew. Did she really know, or was she assuming? And also, remember where I said, why do they want this stuff? Why is it so important, other than the fact it's valuable? You know, anything connected with Elvis is valuable, but what's the urgency on some of these things? A lot of things have been sold. In fact, Priscilla was a part of an auction prior to this one, selling things that had been in the colonel's possession, and she was verifying and giving letters of recollection that these were things that Elvis had given the Colonel, or that she remembered seeing. And Joel Wineshaker's on record stating that he wasn't sure she could give those letters of recollection because some of the items that were sold in that auction were way after she had left Elvis. And she wasn't there every single day, and she didn't see all of the things. So, there is conflict on both sides here. So that brings me back to this statement. You informed Priscilla that Mr. McDonald said he had thousands of original documents that belonged to the Colonel, some of which were very sensitive, and that Greg apparently was trying to sell them. Well, the list that was provided, that Exhibit A they mentioned, the items that they mentioned here, there wasn't anything sensitive on that. So, where are those sensitive items and what were they? Now, we've seen some videos, and apparently there were some letters between Vernon and the Colonel, back and forth, talking about Elvis, money issues, who knows what else. Could that be part of it? Could there be some correspondence in there between Priscilla's dad and the Colonel and all of the things leading up to the wedding? Because, we've all speculated on that as well from reports from people who were around Elvis before, where the maid caught him crying. Just different things. Right now, this is complete speculation on my part. But I'm saying there is something weird about this. And what's even stranger is that here we are, well over a year since the case has been filed, and it's just stagnant. Why? If it's that big of a deal and it's that important, why are they sitting on it? Is it because it's in their control right now and they have it till a ruling is made? But what about Thomas McDonald and Sherry? What about these people who have purchased the items thinking that they belong to them now? There seems to be no sense of urgency to get this taken care of. I think there is something tied together here between this case and the cases going on between Priscilla and Bridget, Priscilla, that whole back and forth thing. I think there may be more here than meets the eye. Because I can't understand why something as important as Elvis artifacts, that it's not moving forward. Can you? This is my take on what's going on. It could be correct. It may not be. But there is enough reason and to speculate that something isn't exactly right, that maybe it smells a little fishy. Write in the comments below and let me know if you agree. So, on a different note, that's all I have for today. We're going to get more into this because I think there are a lot of points to be made. I would like to go back and read over the Colonel's letter and what he said he was giving them, because the way I saw it is it's saying that it was things that was in the Colonel's possession as of 1990. That was in his Madison, Tennessee office. And he had designated some things in his home in Las Vegas that they were going to be able to take. But if the items that Greg has weren't ever part of that, why does Graceland think they belong to them? I'm not a lawyer. I'm just someone looking at it logically and going, how can this be? And I guess my heart kind of goes out to the McDonald's. Now, if indeed they were stolen, that's a complete different thing, isn't it? Yeah, it is. But we have no idea, and it hasn't gone to court to get a ruling on it. So what's the holdup? Like I said, I think there's connections. So anyway, switching gears. I think I was going to say that a minute ago, and I kind of got distracted again and got back on my soapbox. But Amy is going to be on. We're shooting for Tuesday, and she is going to be on the show. And we are going to be going over the Blanchard tool documents. She has been sick and ill, and so she's finally starting to feel better, and I can't wait to get her on for us to talk about those things. Also, I have some exciting guests that I've lined up to come on the show, so stay tuned to Presley Mania, because we got some fun things coming up here, and I can't wait to share them with you. And so anyway, stay tuned, and I think you'll be happy to hear from some of these people that I'm going to be coming on, that I'm going to have come on my show. So anyway, if you have not done so, please be sure and hit that subscribe button and give me a thumbs up. We're trying to grow this channel and get the word out. Also, I have started an Instagram for Presley Mania. I think it's Rhonda _ Presley Mania. I should know that, shouldn't I? But look for it, Rhonda _ Presley Mania, and I think maybe Rhonda H _ Presley Mania, and start following me on Instagram. I thought it would be a good way to connect with a lot of you. It's just easier to do it under the Presley Mania channel. So anyway, thank you all for your support. Be sure, like I said, hit that like and subscribe button. It helps me out tremendously. So until next time, remember, you only get one shot at this life, so live each day to the fullest, because you never know what tomorrow's going to bring. See you all next week. Bye, everybody.
Thank you.